He is not used to saying, that's it, that's all I can handle. And I'm sure he has to deal with that decision every day. Hey, welcome back to GT Canada. Today we are reviewing Launch Control, The Road to Gymkhana Part 2. This is a two-part series that was released by Subaru documenting the road to Gymkhana with Travis Pastrana. Now, you may have already seen my reaction to the actual Gymkhana video, as well as part 1 of this video. If you have not seen either of those yet, I encourage you to check those out over here. There's also a link in the description. Because this is going to be a trimmed down version of the launch control video, I do encourage you, when you're done watching this, to watch the entire video, which I will link in the description as well. A lot of people had a lot to say about my breakdown and my reaction to the first video, the actual Gymkhana 11 or PastranaKhana or whatever people are calling it out there. I had a lot to say about it. I had a lot to call out about it, and I had a lot of assumptions to make about it. If you've seen part 1, you've already seen that the community that tried to call me out has egg on their face, at least in my opinion, because it turned out that exactly what I said is exactly what the people that designed the car had to say. Will that be the case for one more major call out that I had with regards to the country road jump? I don't know. I haven't seen the video yet. Let's watch it together. So this is part 2. So you'll remember he had just beached the car and set it on fire and had pushed the button to put the fire out. So here, this is picking up that same night.
So most of it we can vacuum out, and the engine bay is a liquid, so we can just wash it out, so to save the car. So
inside the car, so I was wrong already. Inside the car, the fire suppression system is a powder, which is what they're vacuuming out inside the car. Inside the engine, they spray water, I guess it sounds like, over the engine to put the fire out, which is probably makes sense. You know, if you want to put out a fire on an engine, just get it wet.
We're going to rebuild it because it's quite a bit of work to change the quarter panel. So we're going to do our best to repair it and make it look like new again.
So that's the quarter panel that he damaged backing into the car. So they're trying to put it all together.
The car and its star driver are ready to turn the page.
We had the idea of doing some kind of Easter egg with a production car. So at SOA, we started to kick around the idea of, hey, what if we could do something really cool with this brand new BRZ?
So in hindsight, I totally missed that the second car in the drift around the poles was the brand new BRZ. I am admittedly not a big Subaru fan. I do appreciate the BRZ for what it is, but I would not be able to spot a new one versus an old one. And so all I saw was a nasty silver car drifting around a pole while the Star was drifting around in a pretty sweet car. I wish they had wrapped this thing to be any color other than silver. If you haven't seen my video talking about car colors, I'll put a link right up over there. I have very strong opinions about car colors, and silver, in my opinion, is one of the worst colors ever. So no surprise, I didn't look at the car very closely.
With a handmade prototype BRZ here. It's essentially irreplaceable. So yeah, we're taking a risk, but at the same time, we think it's well worth it.
With so much at stake, Scott Speed is brought in to take the wheel of the BRZ.
Scott Speed.
Last night? How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm going to be making my stunt driving debut. Pretty excited about that. Many years of driving race cars. No years of...
So Travis Pastrana is actually currently on the Subaru rally team, and I believe Scott Speed is his teammate on the rally team. So they're bringing him in because they know him, they trust him. He drives for Subaru. So it's not a big stretch to throw him in a concept car and have him do stuff because they trust him.
Stunt work. So they had this idea of the BRZ doing these donuts around some poles, you know, sort of synchronized with the car that Travis was driving.
And he shows up on set, he's all ready to go, and he goes, just FYI, I've never done a donut before, so this should be interesting. And we're like,
I'm like, Scott, have you never won anything? He's like, yeah, I just get out and I stand on the car.
How have you, like, how do you get to that level as a driver? And like, he doesn't do victory donuts. He
He's
never does
done a
donuts.
donut
It's just
before.
not his thing.
I'm sure everybody's done a
Travis is
donut
great.
before. This kid's never
I
done a
literally
donut.
asked him, so like, if you're gonna do this, like, would you like do this in first gear or second gear? And then so I just kind of did what he said he would do.
Stunt driver engaged. Before a race, I am like 2 out of 10 nervous. Before this, I'm like at a 7 or an 8 nervous.
I would be nervous if I've
A
never
brief test is
donut
proof of
or
concept.
drift or anything before. I'd be pretty freaked out.
Gotta work
So
on
there
the
he is
handbrake
practicing
entrance a
around
little bit, but he's amazing.
around a pylon.
I'm so nervous.
I was like, oh yeah, that's good enough. Totally good enough.
You know, I sort of took
Let's
to
throw
like
a
a
pole
duck
in
to
there and
water.
see what
I could
happens.
just control the car with the throttle, and I could position it really well. The BRZ is an amazing machine, so it made my life easy.
That right there is totally BS. I doubt he actually said that right from the start. They're like, okay, here's some lines we want you to read when you're talking about the car, make it seem all natural, because they want to sell this car. Obviously, they want to sell cars. They were hoping that this video segment would help them sell cars. They do not want their driver, who's bought and paid for, his whole lifestyle is paid for by Subaru. There's no way he's going to get on there and be like, you know, it was so hard because this car is a piece of trash and it doesn't want to drift well and you should not buy it, but it's all I had, so it's what I used. Of course he's going to go on there and say, oh, it was so easy to drift and it practically drifts itself. I'm not even a very good driver. I'm sure he's a skilled driver. I'm sure he knew what he was doing. And he's just reading the lines that he's been told to read for this.
I got a helmet on now, so you know things are getting serious.
I'm that guy.
Definitely
Like
getting
Scott's
serious.
coming in, I gotta time not only my donuts, but Scott's donuts and try not to kill the Gymkhana car or his one-of-a-kind production car that's probably more expensive and definitely more important.
3, 2. Probably true. A one-off car. That's a sweet shot right there. I don't know why they didn't use that shot.
One take and done.
One and done.
Dude, it's freaking awesome. Good work. One take wonder, we're going on to the next stunt, and for me that just felt like we might actually get through today.
That's actually pretty impressive that they were able to get it all in one take and just move out. Of course, they're not going to take extra risk, so they're looking at the video saying, can we make this look good? Yeah, we can. Okay, park that car back, get the towels on it, get it back on the trailer before anyone sees it. So there's probably some external pressure. Normally they would have at least tried to do one more take to see if they can get the proximity a little closer, whatever. The drifts were a little bit sloppy, but I'm not a professional driver, so who am I to say?
We've enhanced the electronics of the car, added an additional display so that we can see functions. We have a drift timer on there to monitor when the car's sideways.
We can reprogram the buttons depending on the shoot or the feature we want. The send it button is for the wing actuation. So as he's going over the jump, it will set a speed limit so he can hit the jump at the correct speed and also actuate the wing. We have shaken.
And we actually heard or saw that when he did the jump over the boat at the very, very beginning of the video. You would have noticed the wing came up as he was on the ramp, and that's because he wanted to engage the speed limiter to make sure that he hit that ramp at the exact speed he needed to be doing to just clear it and still stop before he hit that building.
Bake on the wheel. Currently, bake is set up to generate flames. Normally, we're
Bake
trying
makes
to run the
flames,
engine
of
very
course.
efficiently. This one is all about making the flames and pops and bangs. Yeah.
This is what
Who doesn't need
Subaru was
a
able to
shake
come
and
up with
bake
for this
button
huge
on their
moment of bringing it back to
car?
to the brand.
Back on set, production is now moving swiftly.
Hey guys, Travis Pastrana here on set.
And after nailing a sequence of successful shots, Travis is hitting his stride.
I think the real question on everyone's mind right now, definitely my mind, is was staying on by 1.5 inches perfect, or if you drop a tire, will that look cooler? Or if you drop a tire, will it just suck the whole car in the water? We're about to find out.
This answers a few questions. Number one, when you watched my video that I already linked you to, I talked specifically about that part where Ken Block actually got that close to the edge of the water, and everyone said, wow, that is like drifting perfection. And now here's Travis Pastrana saying, is that perfect? Really? Or is putting your whole tire off of the edge, is that perfection? Now, he also alludes to the fact that we really don't know what's going to happen, especially in a car like this that has active aero and passive aero, where it's designed to push and pull and do certain things. One thing that I did notice, and I called out in the previous video, when it's initiating into the drift, that aero is actually catching it and pushing the leading edge at the backside down hard. It's actually making it squat so that it angles into the turn as it's going. So with that in mind, if you drop the tire off, will the wing, because you've got no grip anymore, will the wing and the aero just push the car right off? That's a real risk that he's got to be worried about. And you may have noticed, I had called out that I don't see a diver in the back of the car. And there was no diver in the back of that car.
Yeah, there was a whole dive team.
Okay, so there you go. There is a dive team in the water, which is great because if the car went in, someone needs to get to it.
You know, they wanted to be able to react fast, so. Honestly, we didn't really have a plan. I don't think much, except
did you
for
see that?
whatever happens, deal with it.
Did you see that? So inside the door, here, let me back this up a little bit. So there, this is inside the door, the driver's side door. They do have a little air canister and a thing so that he can reach it. It'll only be strapped. It's only strapped on the one side. So if he does go in the water, all he's got to do is reach there, pull it off, and then he can start breathing while he waits for the divers to come and get him out from the car and make sure that he doesn't die. So that's good. I would not have seen that in the actual video when they're leading up to it, but it did add to an extra element of danger that we didn't even realize he had countermeasures in place. So even though it was dangerous, they still had things to make it a little bit less dangerous.
Honestly, we didn't really have a plan, I don't think, for much, except for whatever happens, deal with it.
That's true. You can't plan for that.
As the team braces for the worst, it's the camera crew that takes the brunt of the bad luck.
Ooh. They had a big camera on there.
Hold them. If you could help us.
Those weren't GoPros. That wasn't a GoPro.
Really good until it wasn't.
It's a cool shot, but I just feel like it needs that shot there to make it work.
So all the shots you showed me aren't the ones that Ron just showed you, are not physically in hand right now.
So they had a live feed monitor to show them the different shots. So they were watching in real time that shot from the dock, from the edge of the dock. But as you saw, he came. Let me see if I can back that up. It's really a bad angle. Let's see if I can freeze frame it right when you see it.
It's the camera crew that takes the brunt of the.
So there, right there, do you see right here? That is a full-size, not waterproof production camera that is designed to get a real nice wide angle with good depth of field, and it would really look sweet if they can get that angle and hold it. But you'll see, there he is sliding it out a little bit more sideways than he thought he was going to, and there he smacks the camera, and there it falls in the water. So while they did have the monitor footage, it is not full 4K footage, and they lost it. I mean, that camera would be destroyed, and the memory card is not waterproof. It's wrecked too. I'm sure the divers went down and got the camera. That's not the question. But they found out that that footage was ruined. They needed to do a second take.
Shot, but I just feel like it needs that shot there to make it work.
So all the shots you showed me aren't the ones that Ron just showed you, are not physically in hand right now. Well, that sucks.
Yep.
Now they're going to set up, do a round two, and this time they just have a load of GoPros there because they know that those will hold up to the abuse and to the water. So here, he did knock GoPros off too.
It was a costly shot, but the team ends the day happy to move on.
So there you saw a bunch of GoPros there. You can see them. GoPro, smack, smack, smack. What's that, 4 GoPros? All in the water.
Put a tire almost over the edge, and I'm so glad the camera broke when I got over the edge the first time, because then we had to do it again.
I am best when everything is going to absolute anarchy, and I send it in faster than I ever should. I pull the handbrake and see what happens.
It did look pretty sweet. It looked good. That was a good.
The whole idea
shot
behind the Gymkhana series is that you film all these amazing stunts in secret. I mean, heck, Ken Block shut down the Golden Gate Bridge, and I didn't hear anything until, you know, until it came out.
I don't know if he's being honest there, because in the video where he shut down the Golden Gate Bridge, Travis Pastrana actually makes a cameo in that on his dirt bike. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out. I think it was Gymkhana 5. Did they really keep it that much of a secret? Because they would have done it a multi-day shoot. So the Golden Gate Bridge would have been just one day of that shoot, and Travis Pastrana would not have been there for that. So did they really not tell him at all? They kept it that much of a secret? I don't know, but he's good at playing up the story.
The big jump downtown at Rigo Alley, I brought in all of my main crew, the guys that I worked with for the Red Bull New York No Limits jumps.
World record attempt.
When I was thinking about that, I'm like, man, these guys also had the landing that they said was super grippy when I was supposed to stop, and I just smashed into the wall.
We were pretty nervous in the practice. He was having a hard time even coming close to stopping.
So there he is, practicing it on dirt.
Where the building would be. So, wow, this could get hairy real quick.
So hindsight, I'm coming up to it going, all right, I know the ramp's built perfect. I know everyone has done their homework. But if I go through this restaurant and valet park it straight in the bar with all my friends and family and all the news crews watching, I'm like, this is it. I have to move.
So you see, right there? So you can hear he's bouncing off what would sound like the rev limiter, and the wing is up. So he's pushing that button, which engages the speed limiter at whatever they set it to, and it's adjustable. They can make it to be whatever it is. So that locks in the speed so that he hits the ramp at the right speed, and everything's perfect. So you can't overshoot it or make any mistake. They've done the math. They know the speed he needs to hit it. He's gonna hit it at that speed, guaranteed.
On his first jump, didn't really have much of a problem, but he did go a couple mile an hour slower than he was hoping to. So the next time he was gonna go faster. And
That was okay, that one leaked. That was pretty cool.
We're literally just doing donuts right now so that people think it's over and go home.
I was trying to do some donuts to just get everyone away, and I pulled the power steering too hard, so it has a lot of pressure there, and we just had to change some stuff around.
We pushed the car back around the corner to service, changed the power steering pump, and had them going, you know, within 20 minutes, half hour, real quick. So it didn't hold anything up because they were getting ready for the next shot anyway. So it worked out pretty good.
With everyone settling into a rhythm, the days now start moving quickly.
Very cool. Very cool to see kind of more angles here. It's neat to see the drone following in behind him.
A semi-truck, a bus loaded with people, a motorcycle, a snowmobile, a car, they all fly the same until you get downforce becomes a factor around 70, 75 miles an hour.
For an aero package to work, every element has
Are they going to talk about the country road jump now? I think so.
It's an invisible puzzle of airflow and knock-on effects.
The rear wing is a double element with an active upper element. Mainly its primary function was to activate it for when the car is in flight. The driver can force the rear wing up and add approximately 50% more rear downforce at that point. So it contains the flight path. And then it's got two extensions with additional side plates. Down the sides of the fenders there's also additional aero winglets. They're intended for when the car is sliding. The air is applied to the side as a side force, but then we also contain that air and we create more downforce.
The air is acting on a wing or acting on an element. If it's designed efficiently, it will not slow the car down, but provide more downforce and then give more grip through the tires.
That is an interesting concept to try and wrap your head around. Normally, we're used to, if we see a wing go up, it slows the car down. So they're saying we've got all these aero elements on the car that are pushing the car down, but it does not slow the car down. That is a hard balance to strike, because to be able to push the car down, there has to be air coming up. For the air to be coming up, you would think that that would naturally also slow the car down a little bit. So I'm not sure if they're kind of embellishing this a little bit, or if they've somehow got it exactly perfect to where it can create the downforce without creating that drag that would slow the car down.
Back in Maryland, on the final day of filming,
here they are.
One of the most deceptively challenging stunts has been left to the end. The country road jump will push both Travis and the equipment to the limit.
Yes, it's probably one of the craziest things we've ever done, and we've done some crazy things.
This is scary.
You see
I
the script
told you
or
it looked
storyboard, you
scary.
kind of just mention, oh, this is gonna be a low amplitude, high speed jump. We do that, no problem, right? 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, can go pretty far, 80 miles an hour. Oh, this one's got 130 plus miles an hour.
When you see it in person, when you walk up that
130
hill
plus
and see
miles an hour. Okay. Now, when I watched the thing, I think that they locked in, said it was 140, but they never said miles an hour, and I assumed it was kilometers an hour, because 140 kilometers an hour is actually 80 miles an hour. So the speed that these guys think he's going to be jumping at. So that's in line with what I was saying, you know, a jump like this you would do at 80 miles an hour or 140 kilometers an hour, because that's relatively safe. It's been done before. It's known. It's controllable. If this is truly 140 miles an
the
hour.
kicker ramp was, and
crazy.
you see the fences and the telephone poles and the trees and the branches that were hanging over the road, it looked like he was trying to fly a car 200 feet through a keyhole.
The twists of the road add to
That's
the
true.
complication.
You can
Travis
see
must
it.
launch from one side of the road.
Like right here, look at that shot there. You can see they're standing where the ramp is where he's expected to come down. You got a tree there, you got a fence, and he's actually trying to go across the road so that he's gonna land over in this part, over here, so he's got a straight stretch to run it out. Just ridiculously, insanely dangerous. And you'll remember I said, I hope he only did that once. Just hit it full send, full speed, just go and see what happens. That's a wrap. So let's see.
Land on the other.
This jump, according to my projectile calculator, I was going to have to hit at approximately 130 miles an hour.
So
130 miles an hour. So they are keeping up the story that this was miles an hour. I will concede, you heard it here first, I will concede that that was likely miles an hour. Because in the making of, they're not going to keep lying about it, I don't think. So 130 miles an hour, that's what he was planning on hitting.
Not just on this shoot, but I'm probably going to pass like 10 shoots.
So we talked about that extensively with the safety officers and with Travis, and he started at low speeds and worked his way up so we could see how the car would react.
If the car starts to be unstable, then this instability will accelerate the car in one direction, or nose up or nose down, which can be dangerous for the landing.
When you have to do the craziest thing you've ever done on something you're not even sure is going to work, and then you have to do it 5, 6, 7, 10 more times to try to get the best angle, the best shot that you possibly can, you still have to send it.
I mean, you could hear the car coming for a mile, just going through the gears.
And it
Look at
felt
that.
like the hand.
It looks like he's coming up short. Like you go and then you see him, he just is falling down onto the pavement there. I'm gonna back it up so you can watch it again. Because he's just
And then you have to do
going.
it 5, 6, 7, 10 more times to try to get the best
He's
angle,
going,
the
he's
shot
getting
that
the
you possibly
speed,
can.
but
You still
he's
have
falling
to
out of the air, it
send
looks like.
I mean, you could hear the car coming for a mile, just going through the gears.
See, look, right here. Flies, and then boom.
And it felt like the hand of God just threw the car down. knocked the wind out of me. Thought I broke my back for a second. Car shut off.
Oh, yeah,
Gauges are going. Everything's in the red.
Look how hard that slammed. Now, when he makes reference and he says, it feels like the hand of God just shoved me down. At the risk of sounding super lame, okay, I ride two-wheeled vehicles, motorcycles. I've ridden a lot of different motorcycles over the years, and currently I am riding a Suzuki Bergman 650 scooter. Now, I told you, don't think I'm lame. Don't just assume that I'm a lame old man. I probably am a lame old man, but I can relate to what he's saying here, where he's saying it feels like the hand of God pushed me down. On that Bergman, when I start pulling out onto the highway and I'm doing 80 kilometers an hour up to 100 kilometers an hour, so about 60 miles an hour, this thing's got a giant windshield, but I swear it feels like someone is behind me pushing on my back and it's pushing me into the windshield. It's the weirdest feeling ever to have the wind come around the windshield behind you and then push back into you. But I swear it feels similar to what he's talking about here, where it's just something is pushing you. It's crazy how you can redirect the wind to push in ways that it wouldn't normally push. And he's experienced this. He's never jumped a car with so much aero built into it. He's used to just being able to coast with that momentum. And normally that probably would be enough. But they know that this car creates so much downforce. Of course, once you slow down from that momentum in the air, it's gonna just slam you down. And that's what he's experiencing here.
I'm short. I'm like, what just happened? How fast am I gonna have to hit it? If I go faster, is it gonna throw me down harder? Am I gonna make it any further? So I came out and I said, all right guys, up the rev limiter. Like, I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit as fast as the car will go. It might work, it might not, but that's our best shot.
Chris Yandel turns to me and he's like, this is sketchy. I completely agreed with him. It was terrifying. Travis knew what he had to do to make the stunt happen, and there was nobody that was going to push him into doing it if he wasn't comfortable with it.
So here he's trying to go just full send, full speed, top speed, whatever the car can do. I'm just going to hit it and see what happens, and we hope that the guy doesn't die. And everyone was thinking it. Travis, you just got to go for it, but nobody wanted to tell him that, so they waited for him to arrive at that conclusion all by himself. So this is him, full send, trying to hit that jump.
So I came over, it's hard coming around the corner, over the crest. And as I hit into the G-out right before the takeoff, the car goes, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. I thought it was rev limiter. I'm like, all right, I felt like I got there pretty quick, but all right. And I look at the speedometer, same speed.
In the last jump, he felt a big compression from the landing. There's an accelerometer on the seat, and that recorded 19 Gs. His comment was the car was fine, but he didn't feel he could take any more of that physically.
19
like his back
Gs.
was compressing on the landing. So,
was it a huge jump? Yes. Was it a cool shot? Yes. Was it what I wanted? No. No, that hurt a lot.
That 19 Gs is a lot. And you think he's not like laid out in a gangster lean. He's straight up and down in a racing seat, and that back is just gonna compress right down. So he was very smart to just call it off right there, even though I doubt that that is in his DNA. He is not used to saying, that's it, that's all I can handle. And I'm sure he has to deal with that decision every day, wondering, could I have done another take? Or would I have just paralyzed myself for the rest of my life if I went for another one? I give my hats off to a guy who knows when it's time to call it done. Richard Hammond could benefit from the skill that Travis Pastrana is showing here, because he is a guy that doesn't know when to say enough's enough. And if you've seen some of the Top Gear episodes, that guy's almost killed himself because he doesn't know when to call it over. So learning from this would be a wonderful thing for a lot of people in industry. Sure, it'd be great to see him fly a little bit farther, but I am glad to hear that he was okay and he had the balls to call it off rather than to try and do it again.
The car is a monster. Literally, this thing has been banged, smashed, slammed into the floor at 150 miles an hour, a 220-foot jump, and still pretty much intact.
4 days passed in what felt like a matter of minutes. Some required commitment. Some required precision.
The ideas were bigger than life, and we had about 5 to 7 stunts a day and 1 car. So the fact that Subaru Motorsports USA was able to build me a car that withstood, well, me, that was amazing.
There he is doing the victory
so
donuts.
It's finished. You're so proud of the team. You're so amazed for myself. I couldn't be more proud. Proud of everybody.
Hoping he doesn't hit the thing again and break it.
But that's a wrap!
And that's it. That's the whole thing. So you've seen all the behind the scenes that I've seen. Again, there is a longer version of this video. The link is in the description to the full thing. It covers a little bit more of the narration and stuff from the engineer's perspective, which there's a lot of interesting stuff in there, but I didn't think that you guys wanted to see all of that just with a reaction that I'm just reviewing. So there you can go and watch that online. I hope that you found this series entertaining and interesting at the same time. I am doing more of these, so if you have not subscribed already, you can do that below. Check out the videos as they drop. I do have other videos which are over here. You can check those out right now. They're ready to go. I hope to see you again, but until next time, have a great day.